Hi guys, it's me again, Rich from TrackSpark. Hope you're all well and had a nice February and a nice Valentine's Day if you've got a partner. Um, so yeah, and hope you're looking forward to March as well for some new plugins which I'll be doing, and some loops and stuff which I'll be doing short demos of soon. But anyway, on to this month's tutorial, quick tutorial hopefully, if I don't start waffling on too much. It's on vocal processing, and what I have done to this particular vocal in this particular instance, and some things that I would generally do to a vocal anyway. So hopefully you can take some little tips and just some general overall vocal processing chain tips as well. Right, so let's get on with it. Now, this vocal is from a dance tune, another dance tune. I'm doing quite a few dance tunes at the moment for an album, which is why the last two or three have been situated in dance tunes. But I don't always do dance tunes, just so you know, and I won't keep doing dance tunes all the while. But anyway, right, so this vocal, let's have a quick listen to it, and then we can go from there.
Your heart has never been too far from anything. So hard to make you see that never let them in. Now you let me in. Your heart.
Right, so there we go. It's like a drop down verse vocal, so it's quite intimate compared to the main vocal, which is here in the chorus. Okay, so right, so I'll show you what I've done to this in particular vocal. Now I've approached it because of this in particular track and the way I'm doing it. I've probably approached some of them, some of the things that I've done more aggressively that I would do on other cases like acoustic songs or rock songs or whatever. But a lot of the processes I would still do, but just not as harsh, if that makes sense. So all I'm literally going to do is show you show you the chain, the insert chain, and the effects chain, and yeah, and hope that you might take something from it. Right, so let's solo it and have a quick listen.
Your heart has never been too far from anything.
Right, okay, so there's a crazy delay effect on there, which I will take off. I'll get to that lastly, and a little bit of reverb there, which I'll take that off. So here's the sort of dry but not dry.
Your heart
Turn it down.
has never been too far from anything.
Right, so that is where we're going to end up, hopefully, and this is where we started.
Your heart has never been too far from anything.
Sorry, I left some EQ on there.
Your heart has never been.
Right, there we go, and that's me singing. So it just shows you don't have to be a great singer to be on a record nowadays. Right, so the first thing I've done is hit in my effects chain here is a pitch correct. It's a Steinberg pitch correct, but I've literally done this one to create an effect on my vocal because I don't like the sound of my voice, and I didn't think it sounded right in this tune. So I've not used it for pitch correction. I've used it for the formant filter to make it sound like somebody else.
Your heart has never been.
To me, it just sounds like a heavier setted male singing, which is what I wanted. I wanted like a big black dude, but obviously it doesn't sound completely like it, but it sounds more like a big dude with a big voice than my voice does, which is all that is. So that is just a little sort of effects tip rather than anything else. I wouldn't always do this one. I wouldn't always use that. Let's skip this one because it's just pitch correctness and I don't really need it or want it. It's just sort of sat in there to see if it made any difference. So moving on to what I would sort of do, one of the first things I would usually do in pretty much every vocal sort of chain here, and that is to give myself some analog distortion, some distortion of some sort on my voice. And I just love this plugin, so which is why I've used it, and you can see I've cranked it all the way up to 12. So you could do this in different ways. You could use a normal distortion plugin. You could have it as a send just to mix it in a little bit better. You could double up your vocal and really mash it up and mix it under your main vocal to give that sort of warmth, but which is what I've done in the past. But this one just does the trick for me. So let's have a listen.
Your heart has never been too far
Without.
your heart.
So the volumes come up a bit when I've got the plug-in on, but it just sounds fatter and warmer. And even clean vocals nowadays have got that sort of distortion and warmth on them, and it just gives for a better vocal. So that's what I've done there. Let's leave it back on.
Your heart has never been.
Right, there we go. And then moving on to the next one, I've got some compression. It's a 1176 compressor, but just generally a compressor. I'm not, trying to say, oh, you need this 1176 replica or whatever. But what I've done is, I've not got it set to a really extreme. It's pretty quick attack and sort of mid-range release. So, but what I wanted, it's quite an aggressive approach to this
Your heart has never been.
this vocal. You see it's going between sort of -7 and -10 at places, and I've done that because I wanted all the small nuances and little sort of sounds and things like that because it's to come out in the mix, because it is quite an intimate sort of vocal. It's in the drop down and it's a verse. I wanted all of those little intricacies in there, and I think that's what makes for a good vocal anyway, like imperfections and things like that in the voice. So that's what that is there for, and it's controlling the level a little bit, but I would probably do some level volume automation going through it anyway after this. So that's where we are there. I've then stuck this mic tone plugin on, which is what we had in one of the TrackSpark. Hopefully, most of you guys have got this. We had it in one of the goodie bags a couple of months back, and it's from Gauge, and it's just a mic emulation plugin. And I've got it on the 414, and I've got it cranked up just to give more tone. I wanted more tone in the vocal, or a different tone. So I've just sort of gone through this and selected it, and again being quite aggressive in the approach because I'm quite high here on the scale. So let's have a listen to see what this one does.
Your heart has never been.
Take it off.
Too far from anything.
It's making it really fat and giving it a nice sort of top end, some nice tone and presence, but it's way too muddy now. Let's have a listen.
Your heart has never been.
So I'm gonna EQ it. I'm just gonna take these ones off and show you. I've literally just EQ'd it from around the 500, and just rolled it off fairly gently.
Your heart has never been too far.
Just to clean it up a bit. So let's just see now what it's sounding like in the mix as we are. Just
Your heart has never been
pull it down a bit.
too far from anything. So hard to make you see that, never letting in now.
So yeah, I think it's sounding all right at the moment. Doesn't sound like me, and it's sort of sitting not too badly in the mix at the moment. So now what I've got is more distortion and like I said, I've probably approached this in a quite aggressive way, but I just love the way warm, distorted vocals sound, and I've gone really harsh on this one.
Your heart has never been too far from anything.
And that was obviously on purpose. I wanted it to sound, distorted. And, I wanted it to sound distorted. And also, when it's soloed, it always, obviously, you notice it a lot more. But when it's in the mix, the extremity of it doesn't seem so much.
Your heart has never been too far from anything. So hard to make you see that never letting in.
Gives a nice bit of tone and a bit of grittiness. So again, I would probably put more distortion on my vocal because that's the way I like it. But in this tune in particular, I've gone for that sound on purpose because I wanted it to sound like that. It's not supposed to sound beautifully clean. Right, so that sort of leaves us with the weird delay and a little bit of reverb. So I always find, and this is a crazy reverb, it's bouncing left to right with modulation, and I've stuck it on my insert rather than gone for an effects send, just because I wasn't going to use this effect on anything else in the track. So why use it as a send effect, put it on my inserts, and it also gives me a little bit more control on that track as an individual sort of track. If I wanted to EQ it, or if I wanted to play with the levels more, I've got it here right in front of me. I've not got to worry about anything else. So that's why I've put it on this track. I wouldn't always I've got a reverb send here as well. So which isn't, as much. But that's why I've put this on this track. And then let's have a listen.
It's never been too far from anything. So hard to make you see that never letting in now.
It creates a really sort of wide vocal because it's bouncing left to right. But a crazy sort of atmospheric effect in this drop down section, which is good. And then what I've done is I've added this. I've boosted it sort of around sort of 7K because when I always find whenever I add delay or reverb and spatial effects, then it sort of tends to soften the tone of things. So I've just sort of brightened it up again, and I've added a little bit of air here as well at the top. So I've just done this to give it a bit more presence because I felt like it lost some. So let's have a quick listen and compare it.
Your heart has never been.
Let's just turn that off.
Your heart has never been.
Turn it on.
Too far from anything.
So it just brightens it up a bit. And let's hear it in the mix.
Your heart has never been too far from anything. So hard to make you see that never letting in now. You letting me in. Your heart has never been.
Right, so that's it. That's where we've come from. I'm just going to turn that off again. Why does that button not work? I'm just going to turn that off. I'll obviously put it back on. But yeah, so we've come from... Oops. We've come from this.
Your heart has never been too far.
To this.
Your heart has never been too far from anything. So hard to make you see that never.
So you can see what I've done and the reasons I've done it. I hope I explained that okay. And the things that I would always do and the things that I would only sometimes do regarding the song. Yeah, there we go. Any more questions or any other tutorials you'd like to hear or see, then just let us all know. And have a good one. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.